Our family on our mom's side has a deep Montana history, especially stemming from Butte and Helena. We are so proud. One of the things we are most proud of is to call ourselves Montanans. At Up Top Clothing, they have Montana-made and Montana-branded clothing for both men and women. Their Montana Till I Die collection is one of my favorite collections anywhere in the clothing world. And you can shop online and get the Montana Till I Die collection and all the other great gear that Up Top Clothing makes delivered right to your doorstep. Visit teamuptop.com. And if you use the promo code Skyline15, you're going to get a discount on all your online ordering. Teamuptop.com, Up Top Clothing, reminding you to take a step back and enjoy the moment.
All right, excited to got Gold Rush week after being on the road a couple weeks and the travel and the heat, I guess, and the different environments. It'll be great to be back home coming this Saturday and look forward to a great crowd here in Bobcat Stadium, for our first home game. Reflection on the game from Saturday night, not too different, I think, than we saw after the game. Defensively, really proud of the performance. When you don't give up a first down until the fourth quarter, I think that speaks volume of the execution, but really the I really felt like we were flying around and more than flying around. The effort was it was intentional. We were where we were supposed to be. We tackled well. Really made it hard on our quarterbacks to get in any kind of rhythm, and I think made a lot of plays on third down. They were 11 on third down at the end of it. We put our a second unit in for a stretch, which was good for them, and they gave up a quick drive, a 3-play scoring drive. But I thought that group really did bounce back. A lot of time, a lot of those guys playing for the first time, and we'll ultimately need some of those guys to play roles as the season goes along. So to get a feel for what game speed is and game intensity and all that, regardless of what the scoreboard says, it was good for those guys to get out there. Offensively, we moved the ball fairly well all day. Ran into some issues with some inopportune penalties, and got ourselves behind the chains at times. Didn't, anytime I think we were 2 of 5 red zone touchdowns. That's not a stat that bodes well for us. We need to be able to get down there, be methodical, all those things, but then cap drives off. We weren't able to do that at the clip that we would like, but I do think we responded in the third quarter well enough to keep that score moving in the right direction, open up a lead, and then, like the defense, we got a bunch of guys out there to do some things in that fourth quarter, at least to get that first game experience. I know I spoke to the O-line depth. That's obviously a concern for us. I do think as we move into these next couple of weeks, we will get some guys back. But as far as getting any of those guys, and I'm referencing JT Burke, obviously Justice Perkins. That's not going to happen this week. So we'll have to figure it out. I think there's a fair chance we'll get Connor Moore back out there. So, obviously, our offense starts with that group, and I think some guys have filled in admirably and all that. But ultimately, get that group as close to full strength is still in front of us. Special teams wise, I know Taco Dollar in particular made a huge impact in the outcome of that game. But beyond Taco's performance, it's 10 other guys on that punt return team. I think he had 113 yards on 5 returns. That's significant, and two big ones that changed the field. So, excited about the way we win as a team and put a lot of pieces together. Defense, I think by and large picked up the offense in that first half, and then I think third quarter we took control of the game on both sides of the football, and now we look forward to this next game. And in the University of Maine, we have a team out of the CAA coming out here that we don't know much about them necessarily. They do have a game under their belt, which is good now that we have a game like this where we have some recent history. A lot of their coaching staff is continuous from last year, so we can look at last year's film as well. I know they have, at a glance, they have a lot of experience. I think they have 27 guys and they're too deep that are either listed as seniors or graduates. So that's significant. They were 2-9 last year, but I think, it's still a team that averaged almost 24 points a game, a bunch of close losses in there. So you can see they're a team that's trending in the right direction. I think you look at their offensive and defensive lines. I think that's what jumps at you right away. An experienced quarterback who led Mercer to the playoffs last year. A familiar name, obviously, for us in the backfield, Jahari Martin, former Bobcat, led them in rushing his first game. It looks like Jahari's found a home running the football, and I know a couple of receivers that have some real talent. So we're going to have another challenge in front of us, and obviously for us to continue to move forward, we have to find a way to improve come this Saturday, and that's what we aim to do as we get going this week.
Any other injury updates besides Connor?
That's the one significant one, I guess, out of the game. I know I mentioned Casey. I think we'll find out the next couple of days where he's at relative to his potential return. But otherwise, I think we got it was a grind of a game a little bit. It was a long game. I know players on both sides, I think we're cramping up. We had some of those instances, obviously Tommy's being the most concerning as it happened. But he was fine yesterday and he'll be okay. And I think as we look at this game, I think the temps are going to be in the 80s again, probably a little bit different type of heat. But we've played 2 games now in that kind of setting, and that does take its toll on you a little bit. So we've got to keep moving forward as far as building our depth. I think that's the biggest combatant to any of that.
You guys got some pressure in the first 2 games, obviously no sacks, which is kind of a rare for your teams. How do you kind of evaluate that part of the game?
Well, I think both games we've disrupted the quarterbacks. I think they were very much off their rhythm, in particular Deacon Hill. We hit him a few times. I think both offenses we've played have had they've been very intentional getting the ball out quick. There haven't been any long developing pass plays of any volume in these first couple games. And if we can disrupt them, if they're throwing incompletions, while we're not getting the last yardage, we're still doing doing what we want. A couple tip balls in that game. I know they had a pretty heavy screen game that I think we neutralized for the most part. So I know we are getting pressure. I know those guys, they want to tangibly rack up some sacks, and that'll come in time. But I do think, you look at these 2 games, our performance up front, while not flashy by any stretch with any kind of number, so to speak, we've been able to make people feel uncomfortable.
You spoke a bit post about Rohan's first touchdown as a Bobcat. Now he's going to be taking on his former university, Maine. Just what you've seen from him so far and what to expect on Saturday.
Yeah, I think continue to make progress with his comfortability and all the things we're asking him to do. I think, in that game, you saw his athleticism and speed certainly flash on the touchdown. I thought he made a couple, catches in traffic at the same time. One in particular that was a bang play on, I think, a 3rd and 5. And he's continuing to find his way on the blocking side. I think all the things that he did when we watched him on film at Maine, we've accelerated the expectations for him. And that probably happens a little bit more on the blocking side and just the different types of things within that position that we're asking a guy to do as far as see defense, identify defense, and then make decisions on the fly. So, I don't know. I'm sure he, playing his old team, there'll be some emotions involved, but what we need Rohan to do is just continue to get better. I think his ceiling, we're far from it. I think that's the exciting thing, but he's making strides. And I think as we go along, we want him to be a big part of what we're trying to do offensively. And I think he's certainly flashed in that regard the first couple games.
Yeah. Just this is the first time in over 20 years where Kansas State has had 2 road games to start the season. So just what is that excitement level? Like you spoke to it a bit, but to be back at home this week.
Yeah, you play them as they fall on the schedule, and I know looking at it with the early start to fall camp, we knew it would be a challenge. But to get beyond it, to get 2 wins under our belt has been great. To play in a couple different environments like we have, to test our guys, all those things. The anticipation for the first home game, wherever it fits, is always going to be high. I know having the students now and in school kind of in session full force. There's certainly a buzz around campus. Excited to see how fast those tickets go tomorrow when they open up, for the students. And this game, I think, the first of many sellouts, I guess, but the first one in, having everybody in gold is a really unique thing for our university, for our football program. And, while we've had good crowds in both places, both in Albuquerque and in St. George, to be in front of 20,000 plus that are all behind you, I think there's a whole other energy that our guys look forward to. So excited for just the pageantry that it is a game day in Bozeman, with the tailgating and everything too. So, and it appears to be a real nice day. So excited to get an opportunity to show what we can do in front of our home fans.
On Saturday, you talked about a little bit of missed opportunities from Adam and Scott Ray. You've kind of seen, like, what was that result from, and how do they?
I think they both maybe had one in particular, and Adams was more of a stumble, and that was in the first half, one of those drives that we didn't continue on, and then Scott Trey's was a miss on a third down in the third quarter that then led to a field goal opportunity. So, they're doing a really good job. They're running hard. They're seeing things, and I thought our offensive line, while not perfect, really came off the ball. And got a lot thrown at them. The credit to Utah Tech in the way they did things up front. They made it challenging at times, but 2 games in to have the production we've had out of 2 guys that are second year guys. Obviously, Scott Trey played a bunch more as a sophomore now, but they're just still young guys and still learning the position, still getting the feel, and really feel good about what they've been able to show these first 2 weeks.
I guess kind of building off that, Adam was named the National Freshman of the Week, and you kind of talked about the conference award last time. Just any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think his performance, last week, for us was a big catalyst to us winning that game. And he certainly on that stage against the Mountain West team on national TV, looked the part and then performed well. And I think there was a lot that went into the big touchdown, the 93 yarder or whatever it was. But that play, I think was a game breaking play for us. And I think a well-deserved award. You kind of combine the way he's played over 2 weeks, I suppose. But, anytime you get a national honor individually, it speaks volumes. But then I think it's a good pat on the back to the program as well.
Junior has a couple games under his belt now. I guess, what have you kind of seen the growth of him over the last year, now being able to, I guess, showcase on the field now?
Yeah, I know we didn't get too involved on Saturday night, and we got to keep working to get him opportunities. But I think he's flashed in a couple games, like Rohan is a guy that is new to playing for us. We think has a lot of ability, has a lot of upside. Obviously playing within our offense and our scheme for the first time, for both those guys, I think they're finding their way. I know they're going to, I think speaking to Junior, I know he's going to be called on to be a playmaker. I would imagine at some point in time every week, and I think he's got that ability. So, really excited for him after missing out the previous year, and he's year 4 now, and he's had a rocky road to this point. Time spent at 3 programs, but I think he's found a home, and I think he really appreciates being part of our program and wants to make an impact.
On the first kick return, Taco was back there. I forget if he was the second one, but is that something that is permanent or?
Marquis went up to the second one, and I think just a little bit of a change up there. Whether we were going to get an opportunity or not, we didn't know, and we didn't. So I anticipate it could be either or, but Ideally, there's going to be a point in time when we do get a great opportunity and we can make the best of it. Not much has happened here these first couple games. And even looking back at the New Mexico game, it wasn't necessarily anything Marquee did, good or bad. I think their ball placement was really good. The couple times we had a crack at it, and then obviously this past weekend, the one that didn't go in the end zone, went out of bounds. So yeah, we had Taco out there the first time, but Marquee was out there the second time.
I know you kind of mentioned a little bit about Miles' misses, one might have come out low, and I guess anything that popped up on film from you?
Yeah, the first one that got blocked, they did a good job. We didn't get a good piece of that edge rusher. And he didn't go down to block the ball, which the edge guys usually do. He kind of caught it up shoulder high, which was a good time and place for him. And I think then, that the second opportunity was shortly thereafter, and I still would contend he was too fast, and he just, pulled it a little bit left. Fortunately, we were able to get him another opportunity later in the game, and that was probably the best kick of the day.
Talked a little bit about Maine's offense, but anything that stands out about their defense?
Well, I think 4 down in nature. I do feel like it starts up front for them. They appear to have a good front. Some really talented guys. You look at it, they don't have any honorees. I'm surprised, and that's one thing that jumps out. No preseason all conference guys, and that surprises me because I do think they have some good players, especially in their front seven. And they were tested last week. They had to make some plays, and they did that. And I think they're a team that to me looks principled in what they're trying to do. How they will defend us versus how they defended Colgate might be two different worlds a little bit, but I think the most impressive thing, like I said, was their front.
How refreshing is it to have a team that, has some familiarity from last season and has a game under its belt to prepare?
Yeah, I think it's, after 2 weeks of guesswork, I do think we did a pretty good job with our research and our preparation for both teams. I do think that. But now to have a team where you feel like, okay, they got a game, we've got a chance to see that, we can work off of last year's video a little bit differently than we would have otherwise. I know new quarterback. I think that's a piece. He's got one game we're watching for, of him playing for Maine. And he's got some ability, I think, both to throw it and to run it. So, he would be the one piece that you do look a little bit back at what he did at Mercer, just to put a little bit more to his story. But ultimately, comforting to know that, hey, at least we're dealing with things we know and see.
Coulter, do you have anything?
Is a will you marry me in your future? Or maybe you do it all over again. Hi, I'm Brian Toon with Jewelry Design Center, inviting you to come see the largest selection of Will You Marry Me in the state of Montana. The brightest diamonds of every shape and size, unique settings built to last, and skilled jewelers on site offering free sizing and maintenance for life, because that's how long we want to be your jeweler. Jewelry Design Center in Missoula, on Brooks, across from the Montana Club.
Yes, I do. Sorry, I was trying to mute myself. Hi, Coach.
Hi.
Couple from me. First of all, just big picture, being 2-0 after 2 road games. Very few teams in the country have even played 2 games. So just being 2-0 and knowing you have now a whole bunch of home games and some buys coming up, what's that do for you guys? Just big picture.
Well, I think first off, you're trying to get as many wins by the end of the season as possible. The regular season, they all add up. All the Division I wins, wherever they're coming from, matter. And to have 2 under our belt, one being an FBS win, I think really excited about that. For what that's going to mean for us down the road, I suppose. I think we've learned quite a bit about our team through the first couple of weeks. I think we've played extremely hard. I think that's the first thing that's jumped out. I thought we played, smart, let's say it's smarter this past week, just with our angles and our pursuit and our leverage on defense. And maybe some of that has to do with some of the talent that New Mexico had at the same time. I know they had a good day offensively against Arizona, it looked like, but ultimately I think we've made strides on defense. I think the stretch of defense really going from from halftime of the New Mexico game through the end of the third quarter, five quarters there, not allowing any points defensively. That's pretty significant. And I don't care who you're playing, to not allow them to get a first down through 3 quarters is impressive. And we want to play championship level defense, and we're not there. We're not there yet, but I think we've made some strides, and that's maybe my biggest takeaway after a couple games. I know offensively, finding a rhythm and being able to make plays and call on some different guys, I think that's shown up through the first couple weeks. So progress and to be able to chalk up a couple wins before we've been home, I think pretty significant.
We talk about the evolution of stats and the way that they are used to analyze the game. Seems like sacks, the actual statistic of a sack, is harder to come by this day and age at all levels of football. So you have to sort of readjust, like you were mentioning. You guys are getting a ton of pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, I think each game you just have to measure it based on what that game presents and how quickly is a team, getting the ball out. How intentional are they about, the number of screens they run? I think what you look at sometimes, that's probably a product of what they see on film. They know they're not going to hold up as well. A number of times in New Mexico protected with Max Pro with 7 guys. I think that was significant in that game, and that's when they were going down the field more, they were protected with a lot of guys. So I think we've affected the game plan maybe as much as anything these first couple of weeks, and I hope that teams continue to be let's say mindful of what we can do up front. I know this, we led the country in sacks last year and we didn't play great defense. So I don't know that we played good defense, but we didn't play, to my estimation, championship level defense. So that sack statistic is a tricky one sometimes. I know we have some guys that can really get after the quarterback when teams are going to be in that mode, and when that time comes, ideally we can put them down on the ground.
When it comes to Rohan and other guys that have played that position for you guys these last couple of years, it seems like that's a position that's evolved quite a bit as well. Can you just talk about that, sort of like the H-back, tight end, fullback hybrid, and the way that that's just influenced offenses across college football?
Yeah, I think, we've been fortunate between, Derek and Trayton before, to have versatile guys. I guess that's probably the biggest thing. It's a position, if you can get the right type of athlete that can do a lot of things, then you can get in 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, and you can look a lot of different ways. And I think the thing about our offense is we can really utilize them in the RPO game, and with the zone run concept, let's say, being able to bring those guys back and block the C gap, make that C gap defender miss and arc for the next defender, and then we have a run call, be able to make that C gap defender bypass him, and then have a pass, run pass option called. I think those are some of the unique things that his touchdown was an RPO. I think that more down the field, and where those opportunities maybe to catch those balls sometimes are unpredictable. Just the threat of all the different things we can do with a versatile guy like that is significant, and let alone being able to detach him like we did a couple times, and he can run a route like a receiver. He's got the speed and the quickness to be able to do some of the same things. So I think we were very deliberate trying to find someone like Rohan, and really pleased that we did. I think it was evident that we missed Derek, significantly over the last half of the season last year, and to be able to find something along the same lines. I'm not anointing Rohan quite yet, but he's done some things. I'm sure he's shown, some people that, hey, we got a real talent, again, with a pretty high ceiling.
Because it is a position that takes versatility and sort of a certain type of guy, does that make it sort of easier to pinpoint the type of guy you want to recruit for that spot?
I think to no, yeah, it's no, we're looking for maybe, but to find them, I think is challenging, because maybe to some degree, guys aren't being used that way at the high school level. I know there were some things that, on his college film at Maine that certainly intrigued us, that was crossover. So generally speaking, a guy like that probably isn't playing that type of position in high school. And, you know, in Rohan's case, in Derek's case, they were more running back, receiver types in high school. So, you know, I think you look for a bigger bodied guy that maybe doesn't have the 6'4", 6'5" frame, because if he did that, he might find himself somewhere else. I know Leuven's Valsen is the one that we brought in as a true freshman this year, and Leuven's was primarily a receiver and an outside linebacker, but did get some opportunities to carry the ball, to run routes, to show physicality on defense. So yes, I think to kind of have an idea maybe what we're looking for, but then to find that combination of skills and athleticism isn't as easy.
You mentioned just being back at home and just the pageantry of the Gold Rush and how cool that is, but also your first home game since the long winning streak was snapped. So how much pride do you guys take in stuff like that, just sort of protecting your home turf?
Well, that means everything. You know, I think being able to play, you know, play for our fans and to be able to feed off our fans. I mean, we have a home field advantage, unlike many others, and you know, that's meant a lot to us. And until that North Dakota State game, in my time, we hadn't lost a home game. We had multiple games that had maybe come down to the fourth quarter, and we found a way. So to get that going again, to start from scratch here is where we're at. But yeah, it's our expectation that, you know, anytime a team comes in here, it's going to be challenging for them, because of our crowd, because of the noise, because of the environment that we have. And on the flip side, we can, you know, hopefully feed off of that. But we talk a lot about, it doesn't matter, you know, who we play, when we play, where we play. So, you know, that has to carry over. You know, our consistency, I guess, has to carry over the road. But yeah, there is a sense of comfort when you play at home, and you do have some inherent advantages with the challenges that you know, our crowd creates for an opposing team.
CAA, obviously an FCS conference, but there's so rarely crossover before the playoffs with schools out west. Do you have any experience against CAA teams during the regular season?
Yeah, regular season. God, not that I can recall. Playoffs, I guess multiple teams. You know, I think for us to get this game, this was a couple years ago. I know since I was the head coach, we scheduled this game. So yeah, any opportunity we have to play a team from out east, we'll take it, because it is a good barometer of where we're at relative to that league. You know, because traditionally the CAA has been a really good league, and you know, I think now in my time, I think William and Mary would be the one team we did face, but you end up, you know, they're lurking in the playoffs. So, you know, but I know it's hard scheduling. You know, I think that's just a challenge that is clear at all levels, and you know, to get a team like Maine to come out here, we're excited about the opportunity and excited to see how we match up.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems like that league, the sort of stereotype is they're really good on the fronts. And you mentioned that. Do you see that? Do you see that in Maine? Do they sort of look the mold like that?
Yeah, and I think defensively is absolutely their strength. I know offensively, I've been impressed, and they certainly wanted to run the ball, and you know, develop a run game against Colgate. You know, starting with Jahari running it, but behind you know, I think an offensive line that did a really good job. And they don't have as much, you know, that's a group, at least by years, isn't terribly experienced, but you know, I thought they did well in that first game. And you know, it was apparent that they wanted to establish the offensive line, you know, as far as a catalyst to be able to win that game. So yeah, I think that appears to be a strength of theirs, is both sides of the ball. up front.
Thanks, Coach.
Anything else in the room? All right, thank you, Coach.
Join Town Pump's Pump It Up Rewards Plus program and never pay full price for fuel again.
Save 5 cents on every gallon every day at any town pump across Montana.
Plus, earn and redeem points on your favorite in-store items to get free stuff with our clubs.
Stop in and pick up a rewards card. Download the Pump It Up Rewards Plus app today.
Or visit townpump.com/rewards to register and start saving.
Right down the road. Pump it up. Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess first off, I mean, how have you felt about your play and the D-line's overall play through 2 games?
Yeah, I think the D-line's been really getting after it. Not as much production as we'd like through the first 2 games, but I think we've really been setting the tone up front and been playing really aggressive. And sometimes like plays just don't come to you, and that's all right. But I think, you know, overall we've been doing our job well and making sure we're getting after these offensive lines and playing on their side of the line of scrimmage. And yeah, just doing a good job making sure we're setting the tone up front.
Yeah, Vigen mentioned how you guys led the nation in sacks last year, but didn't play up to your standard of defense. So do you feel like, even though the sacks and the TFLs maybe haven't been as much, do you feel like you guys been playing at a higher level than last year?
I don't know. I think it's pretty early in the season right now to tell. I think, you know, obviously first game last week, didn't get a lot of sacks, didn't really get any on the defensive line, but I think we're really putting pressure on them. And I think, we got a good game plan going forward, and Coach Howe is going to get us coached up well and make sure we're ready to go going forward. And, I'm not too worried about it right now. We got a lot of studs up front, obviously Brody Greavy, Blake Schmidt, you know, Zach Cruz, Paul Brott, you know, I think we got some studs up front that can get it done. And, you know, it's early season right now. And this is the time to make sure we get all those things figured out for conference coming up. So
You guys didn't allow a first down for the fourth quarter last game, obviously dominant performance, but what do you look, when you look at the game, you know, in a dominant performance like that, what do you look to improve on, you know, since it was so good?
Obviously I'd say, like, you know, definitely working on getting after the quarterback more, getting them on the ground, getting some more sacks, more pressures, more QB hits. I'd say, like, I thought in the run we played well. They didn't run the ball a lot, but when they did, I thought we stood strong and did our jobs well and were able to get them on the ground. I think going forward, just making sure cleaning up the little things, you know, obviously there's stuff that comes up that you don't kind of gets overshadowed by having a really dominant performance, but, you know, Coach Howe makes sure that we stay humble and make sure we go after those things and make sure we're getting better every single day. So
First time in 20 years that Montana State has started their season with 2 road games. So what is the energy like in the locker room to play at home on Saturday?
we're really excited. We're really excited to get in front of our fans, get in front of Bobcat Nation. You know, that we got some of the best fans in the FCS, one of the best home atmospheres in the FCS. And, you know, starting off on the road, 2 games, definitely gets those road game jitters out of the way. You know, obviously playing on the road is harder than playing at home, just staying in the hotels, travel, different atmosphere, different environment. But definitely, I think big things coming this Saturday. I think we play a lot better at home. That's just kind of what we've always done. And I think it'll be a good show to watch. So
Yeah, anything in specific that you learned starting the season with 2 games on the road and 2 pretty hostile, or 1 hostile environment in New Mexico, Bobcats in trouble with both?
yeah, I mean, I'd say one thing we learned is just how to play through adversity. Obviously against New Mexico, like, we got down early, and learning a big thing about ourselves was just how we bounce back and making sure we bring our own energy in some of those lesser exciting environments, I would say. I think, yeah, just making sure we're playing for each other and we're lifting each other up and bringing our own energy and, you know, just getting in the routine of going on the road and how that changes your preparation throughout the week in terms of timing, getting ready to go, regen, stuff like that. So definitely it was good getting those things figured out, and now look to get on our home schedule stuff. So
in the off season, you know, how does some of your preparation, specifically with Coach Herron, prepare you to face that adversity and overcome some of those hard things in the season?
Yeah, I think Coach Herron did a really good job this summer of pushing us and making sure we had that 1-0 mentality that, you know, what happened in the last play doesn't matter. What's happening next doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is winning the play right in front of you and winning the challenge right in front of you. And he put a lot of different things in front of us, a lot of changing stuff up, you know, bringing new stuff into the strength training environment and making sure that we were always ready to go no matter what situation came up, and took it with stride and made sure we were attacking everything. And a big thing he instilled in us this summer and going into this season is a 1-0 mentality that, you know, doesn't matter what's coming next, doesn't matter what happened before, just make sure you're winning the rep at hand. So
How do you feel about the depth on the D line this year? It looked like a couple times you guys had like 4 DNs there and on the line on some of those third down passing situations.
yeah, so I think we have really good depth. You know, I think a lot of the young guys that came on, we got obviously a lot of guys returning. You know, we didn't really graduate. We only graduated 2 guys, which obviously those guys were really big contributors, Ben Seymour and David Olson. But I think, you know, this year we got a lot of guys who played a lot of football last year, getting more into stride this year, and a lot of guys have been developing really well. And like you said, on third downs, you know, we think that you know, Zach Cruz and Hunter give us an edge for sure on running pass rush stuff on third down. So we like to try and get some faster guys in on third down. Obviously Blake Schmidt's a tremendous athlete and he can do it too, but you know, maybe take a little bit of reps off him on third downs and stuff, being almost 300 pounds. So that's just kind of where we're at with that. But yeah, we've had a lot of depth, which has been really nice, and being able to go play at a high level every snap and not have to pace ourselves. So
Anything stand out about you, Maine, so far? I know you guys final day in the prep, but they seem to have pretty good rushing offense. Anything stand out there?
yeah, I mean, like you said, they have a really good rushing offense. They play physical brand of football, and I think we're physical too. So we'll see what happens. And I think we're excited. Like you said, it's early in the week, so we'll dive more into that as the week goes on. But I think right now it's just establishing a mentality that they're coming in here to our house, and we got to make sure we defend our house and play physical up front for sure, and make sure we're getting after their quarterback. So
guy on the other end, the running back, Jahari Martin, played with for a little bit, right? You overlapped a little bit. What are just your thoughts on facing him again?
Yeah, you know, I think it'll be fun. He's a tremendous athlete. He's a great guy, good teammate. He was an awesome teammate when he was here. You know, just didn't work out with what he wanted to do and what we wanted to do, and glad he found a home there. And it seems like he's been doing great, and seems like he's been happy. So yeah, I mean, it's excited to have him go play against a guy we used to play with. But yeah, like I said, we're pretty early in the week, and it'll be fun to say hi to him and, you know, hope he's doing well and all that. But obviously we're here to win football games, and you know, when we step between those white lines, like kind of all that past stuff goes out the window, and he's the team we're playing against. So
and what have you noticed most about what kind of stood out the most about Bobby Daly and Sean Howe's defense so far through 2 games?
Yeah, I think Coach Daly and Coach Howe have really done a great job. I think, you know, Coach Daly's definitely let us play a lot more of just, you know, base football and letting us kind of do what we train every single day. I think Coach Howe's been a great job of helping with our run game defense coordination a lot, you know, making sure that the defensive line is getting put in good spots. I think pass coordinators, we're safeties coaches and whatnot, and so they kind of just moved us around in the front to kind of just take up gaps. But I think what Coach Daly and Coach Howe have done a really good job of is making sure that the D-line's getting put in a good spot to make plays. And then obviously Coach Daly's been doing a tremendous job with our linebackers. They've been playing their butts off, and you know, I think he's been doing a good job making adjustments on the fly. I think we saw that in New Mexico second half. He made some adjustments, and we were able to get a second half really good defensive stand there. And then obviously last Saturday against Utah Tech, you know, posting pretty much a shutout until the fourth quarter is a testament to him and his play calling and their ability to adjust on the fly and make the right call at the right time. So
here at Five Valleys Restoration, your view is our view, and what a beautiful view it is. We are proud to be locally owned, locally operated. We love our community here in Missoula, and also the full Five Valleys that we do service. We give back to the community, we service our community, our kids go to school here, we live here, we play here, and we love it here.